What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Dragonflight video. This is actually going to be looking ahead to the war within. We are going to talk about the Lightsmith Paladin, baby. I'm going to bring this tree right over here, and we're going to kind of slot it. Oh, I did it in the wrong order. Let's do this first so that we're smart. We want to be smart people here. I'm trying my best. We're going to slot this in here. I'm going to do a comparison. I'm going to talk about some stuff. So let's talk about this Lightsmith hero talent tree that has come to us. This is very, very exciting, very cool. These are some of the hero talents coming on the War Within. This is the one that pertains to Holy Paladins or Protection Paladins. So if you're a Rep Paladin, you cannot get this tree, exclusive to Holy and Protection. And before I start, I just want to talk about, like, I think that the game, I'm hoping with these hero trees, that the game is going to be shifting more towards lots of other specs having support roles in the game. Right now, with the advent of Ogvoker being the premier support in the game, it's really put a lot of the other classes that have supporting abilities, not to shame, but like they're just not as emphasized anymore. Paladin is a great example of that. Paladin has all kinds of amazing tools, right? We've got like Blessing of Sacrifice, Blessing of Protection. Prop Paladin can get Blessing of Spell Warding. You've got amazing, like, really cool tools, though. You've got Devo Aura to, like, support the whole team. Big off-healing with Lay on Hands and other off-healing as well. Blessing of Freedom can give people movement speed. Like, there's just really cool stuff going on with Prop Paladin, I think, or not Paladin, but just Paladin in general. And I just want to make sure that, I don't want to make sure anything, but I just feel like we've lost a little bit of the love that these other classes used to get because Ogvoker exists now, and it has all the support tools you could ever need. And that is, it's a very good spec, don't get me wrong. But what I can see from some of these talent trees that we've looked at already, and this one in particular, is that there are some new support tools being brought into the game in the War Within. And I think that's really amazing. I think it's going to be like, you don't have to have an Ogvoker in every single Mythic Plus group. Maybe you could bring a Paladin instead. Bring a Lightsmith Paladin or bring something else that's going to bring some utility. So let's check it out. Let's jump into this tree and see what's going on. The main thing you need to understand about this tree is that you're getting a brand new ability, and it is this Holy Armament. There's a lot of text here. Here's what this is saying. You get to throw an armament on the ground somewhere, wherever you want. You can place it on the ground. From what I'm reading with this, you can place it right on top of the head of an ally, and it will immediately apply to them. Or you can put it on the ground like a feather for priest, and they can walk over it and pick it up. Two different armaments, okay? There's a shield and a sword. The sword, we don't really know what it does. Sacred weapon. While wielding a sacred weapon, your spells and abilities have a chance to deal additional holy damage or healing. No idea what that means, but it is flexible. You can give it to a healer, and they might have a chance to do extra healing, which is pretty cool. The shield is what we're really interested in. While wielding the Holy Bulwark, you gain an absorb shield for 15% of your maximum health and an additional 5% every 2 seconds. That is an insane number. Like, absolutely crazy. The maximum health that we have right now in the game is like about 1,900,000 to 1 million on the average DPS or healer. Tanks are hitting like 1.3, 1.5. When they're in their cooldowns, tanks are hitting like 2.3 million. Like, they're way up there. So imagine if you're throwing this, like, once we get to the War Within, our health bars are going to go up again. We're not getting a stat squish in the War Within. It's coming after the War Within. So all the numbers are going to keep going up. Imagine if you had 15% of, let's say, 2 million. Oh, it doesn't work on, oops, we got to do it on Google. It doesn't work in this browser. That's crazy. Give me a second, give me a second, give me a second, give me a second. Here we go. Ready? We copy paste. 15% of 300K. If you have 2 million health, this initial shield right here is going to be worth 300K. So just getting the first portion of the bulwark is a 300K shield, and then it gives you 5% more every 2 seconds, stacking up to 30, and it goes for 20 seconds. This is a little bit complicated, but here's how I think this works. You get the initial shield, and then you get more shield every 2 seconds, stacking up to 30. If you're getting shield and you're not taking any damage, it's going to stack up to 30%, and then it's going to stop. And the cooldown is just going to time out. It's just going to fizzle out, right? You're going to get to that 20-second mark, and then you're done. But if you cast this on a person who is consistently taking damage, you're going to consistently keep getting that shield refreshed over and over and over again, which is really insane, until the 20 seconds is up. So I think at a baseline level, this shield is like probably too strong. They're probably going to nerf the numbers on this. I wouldn't doubt that it goes down to like 10% and then like 3% every 2 seconds. Otherwise, it's just completely insane. Like, this is a really, really strong shield. You get 2 charges of the Holy Armaments. Let's look at the rest of the tree. If an ally picks up an armament, you also gain its benefit. If you pick up an armament, an ally gains its benefit. So it's like ×2. We're just getting ×2, right? So if you throw it at somebody else, you're going to get it. Very, very cool. So it's just like a no-brainer. This thing's insane. Divine Inspiration. Your spells and abilities have a chance to manifest a holy armament. We don't know what the proc rate is on this, but this could be really crazy as well. The only issue I could see is that allies might not recognize that a holy armament has been like generated near them. They might not be thinking about it, so they might not run over it very quickly, or it might spawn at the very end of combat, right? So like you're starting to kill the last mob, and then boom, one of the armaments spawns, and then it's kind of useless, right? So Divine Inspiration is okay. The other one's really good, though, I think. Forewarning. The cooldown of Holy Armaments is reduced by 20%. We are not given a cooldown here, but they last for 20 seconds. My assumption is that the recharge is going to be every 20 seconds. You're going to get a new charge of it. That's my assumption. I don't know that for sure. This is just what I'm assuming. Now, 20% of 20 is 4, so this is going to go down by 4 seconds. So now, the armaments will last for 20 seconds, but they will recharge every 16 seconds, which is pretty nice. So now you can get more of them out, and they're lasting for that full 20 seconds. And then, here comes this next talent, Valiance? Consuming Shield of Light or Infusion of Light extends the duration of any active armament, by 3 seconds, or reduces the cooldown by 3 seconds if none exist. This is bonkers. So, we have a 16-second recharge. It lasts for 20 seconds, but if I get an infusion proc and then spend that infusion proc, then guess what? It gets extended. And infusion procs for Holy are really not that difficult to generate. I just got one right there. You press Holy Shock, your Holy Shock crits, you get an infusion, you consume the infusion with something like Holy Light, and boom, you just extended all of your armaments by 3 seconds. They have a 20-second duration, so 3 extra seconds, like, you can keep this going for a long time. My suspicion is that you might be able to keep the armaments going for like a ludicrous amount of time, like more than you might think. Maybe instead of it only lasting 20 seconds, you can get it up to like 30 seconds. Even if you added 10 full seconds to the duration of an armament, that is completely bonkers if you think about how good this shield is. So this talent to me is the best talent in the entire tree. It's really broken. Shining Light is the Paladin proc. It's not very difficult to get Shining Light either. You can get that thing pretty often. Not as much as Infusion of Light, but you can get it quite a bit. So this is completely insane to me. Let's look at the capstone. Blessing of the Forge. Avenging Wrath summons an additional sacred weapon, and during Avenging Wrath, your sacred weapon casts spells on your target and echoes the effects of your holy power abilities. Like, holy cow, man, if there wasn't enough going on here already. Now, the wording of this, I believe, means you press Avenging Wrath, you get 1 sacred weapon, that sacred weapon, and that sacred weapon only, will cast its own spells and echo your holy power abilities. It's not going to apply to all of your armaments that are, all your sacred weapons that are floating around. So it's just the one. But the question now becomes, how often can we proc Avenging Wrath? That's a great question. Avenging Wrath baseline is 2 minutes. But imagine if, for a second, we took Avenging Crusader. That's a 1-minute cooldown. And then let's say we get rid of Glorious Dawn or rearrange our talent tree, and we also take Awakening. Awakening says, while in combat, your Holy Power spenders generate 1 stack of Awakening. At 12 stacks, your next judgment will proc Avenging Wrath for 12 seconds. If this also procs a Sacred Sword thingy, and then that Sacred Sword thingy starts casting abilities and echoing your holy, that's really, really strong. Having a 1-minute wings is also very strong because it's such a lower cooldown. Now, 2-minute wings is fine. I'm not saying you're only ever going to play Avenging Crusader. I'm just giving you the highlights here that, like, the synergy here for Holy Paladin in particular is really, really strong. I think it's very, very good. Prop Paladin is also good, but I think that, like, if we're talking about straight-up synergies here, I feel like this kind of stuff with Avenging Wrath is pretty good. You could have a lot of those sacred weapons, though, which is super cool. Okay, let's get to the side trees here. This is really cool. This is a brand new weapon imbue. My understanding of weapon imbues is that, if you have like a sharpening stone thing on your weapon, that counts as an imbue. If you have a rune on your weapon, that counts as an imbue as well, right? The crit rune or the haste rune, whatever it is. This would replace that, so you'd have to choose what you want to do. Imbue your weapon with the power of light, increasing your armor by 5% and your primary stat by 1%. That's just a good buff. If you told anybody, do you want 1% more intellect, 1% more strength, you'd be like, sure. So that's pretty good. Imbue your weapon with the power of light, increasing your stamina by 3%, causing your holy power spenders to sometimes unleash a burst of healing around the target. Weapon imbue. So it's not damage or healing. It's a burst of healing. So we don't have no idea how good this is. Might be really good for Holy Paladin. That burst of healing that comes out might also go into your beacon healing. That could be kind of crazy. One other thing I forgot to mention about this. We don't know if the Holy Bulwark counts as healing towards your beacons. Shielding in this game does count as healing as far as the logs are concerned, as far as details is concerned. If you put a shield on somebody, you healed them. But beacon is like accumulating whatever healing, actual healing you've done, and then giving it to the beacon target. So I don't know if this is going to count. We'll have to see. If it does count, it's utterly broken. If this counts for beacon healing, it is the most broken thing ever. Honestly, it's crazy. When an armament fades from you, the cooldown of lay on hands is reduced by 15 seconds, and you gain shining light or infusion of light. This is also insane. This is insane. Because if you gain infusion of light and then you spend it, you extend the duration of your armaments. So, like, one armament fades, you get an infusion proc, you spend it, it extends your other armaments. Another armament fades, you get an infusion proc, you spend it, you extend another armament. That's, like, you see what I'm saying here? Like, it's this crazy cycle. Also, reducing the cooldown on lay on hands is good, but I think gaining shining light or gaining infusion of light is really crazy. It's really strong, especially in combo with Valiance there. The effect of your active aura is increased by 33% on all targets with your armaments. This is interesting. So, Devo Aura is 3% reduced damage taken at all times. If you pop Aura Mastery, it goes up to 12%. Okay? Think about that for a second. Anybody who's got your armaments on them is now, instead of having 3% DR all the time, they're going to have 4%, because 33% of 3 is 1. Just bear with me there. 1, 2, 3, that's 100, right? So we get 1 more percent. So 4% at all times damage reduction, which is awesome. Then we pop Aura Mastery, goes to 12%. 33% of 12 is 4. So we get an additional 4% on top, so it's 16% damage reduction instead of 12. Very, very good. I mean, just great. It's not for everybody. It's only the people who have armaments on them, but still, some people are going to be, tougher, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. Here's the right side of the tree. Divine Guidance. For each holy power ability cast, your next consecration does additional holy damage or healing split across all enemies up to a fixed amount. No idea the numbers on that, but it sounds cool. Just sounds like a nice little buff to consecration damage. Casting a Holy Power Spender increases the damage and healing of your next Crusader Strike, Blessed Hammer, or Hammer of the Righteous. This seems like really, really good for Prop Pally in particular, because they're doing a lot of, like, Shield of the Righteous into a Blessed Hammer, Shield of the Righteous into a Blessed Hammer. Blessed Hammer is an AoE ability. Hammer of the Righteous is also AoE if you're standing in your consecration. So, potentially way more damage coming out as well. It's doubling the damage of that as long as you can use your Holy Power Spenders. So, very strong. If you're going to be getting free Shining Light procs, that's a Holy Power Spender that you get to use, and you can just double the damage of your Blessed Hammer. So, very, very good. Here's the PvP talent. A lot of the trees now seem to have one PvP talent. While wielding an armament, duration of fear effects is reduced by 50%. Enemies within 5 yards of Hammer of Justice are slowed. That exhortation one sounds really bad. I mean, just 15% slow within 5 yards of Hammer of Justice, that's just really bad. So, it's okay, I guess, like maybe for like Spitefuls on Spiteful Week, like maybe, but you have to use Hammer of Justice, which is like a 1 minute cooldown. It's just bad. So, but maybe good for PvP, I don't know. Here's the final one. Judgment critical strikes cause a shockwave around the target, dealing additional holy damage or healing at the target's location. This is like potentially really strong for Prop Paladin. Prop Paladin gets access to 2 charges of Judgment. Oh, it didn't flip over. Prop Paladin gets this, Crusader Judgment. Judgment now has 2 charges, and Grand Crusader also reduces the cooldown of Judgment by 3 seconds. Like, they're going to be judging a lot as a Prop Paladin, and that's if they crit, which your wings are going to give you more crit. You're going to have a lot more crit, right? Then you're going to have that Shockwave, which does additional holy damage or healing, which is very, very cool. So, again, we don't know the numbers on that, but that might be a lot more damage. This talent and this talent might end up being a lot more damage. So, this is pretty strong, in my opinion. I think, in particular, the Holy Armament shield that you get could be completely busted. This talent giving you a free proc on Shining Light or Infusion of Light is really insane when you combo with Valiance, which extends the duration of your armaments. You might be able to have a crazy amount of uptime on your armaments because you're getting them from wings as well. Every time you press wings or every time you proc wings as a Holy Paladin, maybe, I don't know if this is true, but I'm assuming it's true, then you're going to get another one of these sacred weapons. Like, there's just a lot going on there. And depending on how much damage the sacred weapons end up accounting for, that could be just a crazy amount of damage and a crazy amount of healing that you're getting from the shield. So, to me, this feels like we're moving in the direction of having support classes back in the game in a very real way. Not that they don't exist right now. Like I said, you can press sack, you can press bop, you can give somebody freedom. I understand all that. But this stuff, the amount of support in here with just the shielding in particular that you can give to your team is a really cool thing that is very much in the wheelhouse of Prop Pally and Holy Pally. I love the idea of this, that you can give your teammates extra shielding. I love some of the talents for Prop Pally, like Seal of Clarity, where when you cast Word of Glory on someone else, you get part of the benefit. Hand of the Protector makes the Word of Glory on somebody else do crazy healing. So, like, there are some support pieces in here. This is doubling down on that. This is creating even more support, which might rival some of the support that an Augvoker can give people. I know Augvoker is giving people a bunch of damage, but really the best part about Augvoker, I think most people would agree, is the utility, the stuns, the knockups, the shielding that you give to your tank and to your allies. That is really where the best parts of Augvoker exist. So this, to me, feels like a lot of other classes are getting some love, and we're going to have to wait and see how it kind of works out. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think that Blizzard is trying very hard to make some of these hero talent trees like a support meta where you could just pick and choose whichever support is the best one for your team? Is that the intention here? Do you think I'm overlooking that stuff? I would love to hear what you think in the comments down below. Please let me know. Thank you guys so much again for watching. I love you all. I will see you in the next one.